Well, as we head into the new year of 2022, we need to first look back on how December went with our lacrosse team. As you know what I mean, as it's time to bring another episode of Hi there, it's Brett Hornby here, and welcome back to my YouTube channel, and welcome back to another episode of my Calgary Roughnecks this month. We're up to Season 3 and Episode number 2, as we'll take a look at how December 2021 went for the Calgary Roughnecks, as the NLL is back for the 2021-22 season. And given how things have been going, I guess you could say the Calgary Roughnecks are still defending NLL Champions, considering the 2020 season cannot get completed, and the 2021 championship season did not happen at all. But in this stage, it felt like that happened 34 years ago. So I guess you could say we started off with the rematch, you would say. But before I get into my notes and get going on recapping how December went for the Calgary Roughnecks, if you want to follow along with this Calgary sports fan's journey, home the Flames, Hitmen, Roughnecks, and Stampeders, just make sure you hit like, subscribe. I mostly do talk Calgary sports on my YouTube channel, where I recap games and stories, and I also do a variety of non-sports content when I have time, like personal vlogs, tap to comedy, share experience on the road as a sportsman, and I've had done some vlogging to go. So if that all sounds like a bit interesting to watch, to follow along with this Calgary sports fan's journey, make sure you like, subscribe, and all of my other social medias down in the description below for other ways to follow me. And of course, I got my second channel in Brett Hornby Shorts, where I put my short form content on there in my YouTube shorts. So I appreciate like, subscribe to the main channel here, as well as my second channel. And of course, what I've been doing for my other recaps, given it's been so long since I've done some lacrosse recaps, I'm also going to put timestamps for when I jump to any particular section or game that I am talking about. So before I get into talking about the first game, the new leadership group was named for the Calgary Roughnecks. As many seasons, it was Dan McRae who was captain of the team, and then Dane Dobbie last season. That actually happened before it got cancelled, but players move on. So the new leadership group for the Calgary Roughnecks for this upcoming season, well, now the captain of the team is Curtis Superman Dickson. That's definitely no surprise now that he is one of the longest serving players on the team. The alternate captains is Curtis Manning and Jesse King. So I guess if your name is Curtis, you're a captain of the Calgary Roughnecks. So that is the leadership group for the Calgary Roughnecks for this season. So anyway, let's get to the games at hand. Well, scheduled being the key word. There were 4 games the Calgary Roughnecks had scheduled for December, but they actually only got to play 3, and we'll touch upon the one game that didn't get played, and actually I already made a video talking about that. But the first game, this happened on Saturday, December the 4th, as the Calgary Roughnecks, their first 2 games of the season was on the road. As I mentioned, it was the rematch of the 2019 NLL Championship from 34 years ago, that the Calgary Roughnecks were on the road to take on the Buffalo Bandits at the Key Bank Center. That was a 5 p.m. ball drop, and all I could say for this game, it was definitely one quarter that definitely determined the fate for both teams, as both quarters at the first half were fairly evenly matched. As we'll take a look at the summary right here, that the first goal of the game did not happen until the 5:16 minute mark of the first quarter, 5:18. It was Dwayne Smith that scored for the Buffalo Bandits to make it 1-0 Buffalo. But the Calgary Roughnecks did tie it up. It wasn't until the 3 minutes later, it was Jesse King that scored the first game goal of the Calgary Roughnecks for the season. And actually, the next goal went to Burn for the Buffalo Bandits to make it 2-1. That goal came at the 10:50 minute mark, but then Jesse King scored again for the Calgary Roughnecks at 14:41 with 19 seconds to go. So after the first quarter, we had a 2-2 game going into the second quarter. And then going into the second quarter, there was definitely a lot more offense on both sides, as it featured 10 goals. Actually, each side having 5 goals themselves. It was Josh Byrne who scored again for the Buffalo Bandits. This was early in the first quarter, 1:22 to make it 3-2 for Buffalo. But then it was Tanner Cook who tied it up for Calgary at exactly the 2-minute mark to make it 3-3 at that point in the game. Then it was Nanticoke for Buffalo who scored at 2:17 mark, so 17 seconds later, to make it 4-3 for Buffalo. However, Calgary tied it up again at 4:43 as it was Zach Currier who scored to make it 4-4. And then it was Hayden Dickson who scored his first at 5:12 for Calgary to take their first lead of the game. So it was 5-4 for Calgary at that point. And then just before, after the 9-minute mark, Buffalo tied it up at 5-5. It was Nanticoke again who scored to make it 5-5. And then Dwayne Smith scored for Buffalo at the 10:25 minute mark to make it 6-5 for Buffalo. And then Cloutier who scored for Buffalo at 12:29 to make it 7-5. However, the Calgary Roughnecks scored the last 2 goals of the second quarter of the first half. First by Curtis Dickson, who scored the last 2 goals of the second quarter. So we had a 7-7 game at halftime. So far both teams seem to be playing on the same vein, as it was 7-7 at halftime. However, third quarter, this is where things blew open for the game, and the third quarter all went to the Buffalo Bandits as they scored 7 goals. So in the third quarter, it was Byrne, Fields, Nanticoke, Fraser, Byrne, Fields, and Smith, as I'm reading from the summary here. It's pressed for time to actually make the notes and get the full name. But Buffalo scored 7 goals all into the third quarter. Calgary did not score at all. So after the third quarter, it was now 14-7 for Buffalo. Pretty much what I meant, the one quarter definitely sunk this game, and fortunately went to the Calgary Roughnecks. However, in the fourth quarter, there was a little less scoring, but only 4 goals in total, 2 each. So you can probably do the math, figure out what the final score is. But Calgary did score the next 2 goals in the fourth quarter to make it 14-9, as Curtis Dickson scored 2 goals, and the 2 goals came up to 3:12 of the fourth quarter. So now that made it 14-9 for Buffalo at that point, but definitely was no rally for the Calgary Roughnecks in this one, as it was Fields who scored the goals, 2 goals to round up the fourth quarter at 6:41 and 11:42. So after a wild third quarter, things tightened up, as ultimately the Calgary Roughnecks lost their first game. I guess Buffalo got some revenge, as the Buffalo Bandits, they won this one in Buffalo 16-9. The game leaders for both sides in this one was actually, I think I'll do it this way this season, because I like how the NLL breaks it out, that I'll just read it off the game start instead of making my notes and doing that, unless I find something else, that something bizarre happened in the game. Well, the 2 players that scored 4 goals in this game was Curtis Dickson for Calgary and Josh Byrne for Buffalo. The leading assist for this game was Jesse King, who had 4 assists for Calgary, and Dwayne Smith for Buffalo. The loose balls was Zach Currier. He had 16 for Calgary, while it was Steve Perillo for Buffalo had 11. Caused turnovers, or Curtis Manning had 2 for Calgary, while Nick Weiss had 3 for Buffalo. Then when it comes to the goaltending story, well, it was Christian Del Bianco who made 33 saves for Calgary, while it was Mac Vink who made 49 for Buffalo. As the shots on goal, Calgary actually outshot Buffalo 58-49 in this game. And the 3 stars in this one was Dwayne Smith was the first star for Buffalo. Second star was Josh Byrne for Buffalo, and Curtis Dickson was the third star for Calgary. So that was game 1 as the Calgary Roughnecks were on the wrong end of this one against the Buffalo Bandits. So game 2, this happened the next Saturday, on Saturday, December 11th, as the Calgary Roughnecks were on the road, but a little closer to home, as they were taking on the Saskatchewan Rush, one of our new rivals of the NLL. Saskatchewan is based out of Saskatoon, as the game was played at the SaskTel Centre, a 6:30 ball drop. Same arena where the Saskatoon Blades in, and this one definitely was also another exciting game that was much closer and definitely needed to get to the final moment. I would say the Calgary Roughnecks might have stole this one once you look at the game summary. So the first goal of the game actually went to Tyler Pace for Calgary, 35 seconds in, to make it 1-0 for Calgary. And then Tanner Cook made it 2-0 for Calgary at the 3:38 minute mark. And then Hayden Dickson made it 3-0 for Calgary at the 4:37 minute mark. So Calgary had an early 3-0 lead in this one. Exactly what we wanted. Kind of similar strategy that the Calgary Stampeders have playing in Saskatchewan. However, Saskatchewan did fight back, and it took a former Calgary Calgary Roughneck to do this one, as Jeff Shatler, who scored the next 2 goals for Saskatchewan at 9:33 and 10:39 to now make it 3-2 for Calgary at that point. And then Robert Church made it 3-3 at game at 11:35. So Saskatchewan came back and scored 3 goals in a 2-minute span. However, Zach Currier scored to make it 4-3. This time was 11:51 of the first quarter, and then the first quarter wrapped up with a Linther goal at the 12:13 minute mark. So we had a 4-4 game after the first quarter, as Calgary came out quickly, but Saskatchewan came back to make it 4-4. Going into the second quarter, this close game definitely were to continue, as Robert Church scored the first goal for Saskatchewan. For Saskatchewan to get their first lead. This was at 3:29 of the second quarter to make it 5-4 for Saskatchewan. However, Tyler Pace tied it up for Calgary at 5:17 to make it a 5-5 game, and then Matthews scored at 6:32 for Saskatchewan to make it 6-5, and then the last goal of the second quarter in the first half goes to Calgary on Hayden Dickson at 9:53. So we had a 6-6 game at halftime. So definitely another close game for Calgary once again in the second week. So going into the third quarter, how did things go for the Calgary Roughnecks this week after having a rough third quarter the week before? Well, things actually looked pretty good for Calgary, as going into the second half, Liam LeClaire scored the first goal for Calgary at the 46-second mark to make it 7-6 for Calgary, although Matthews scored to tie it up at 3:58 to make it 7-7 in the third quarter. However, Calgary scored the next 3 goals at 5:26, Curtis Manning to make it 8-7, and then 11:39, Hayden Dickson to make it 9-7 for Calgary, and then 12:15, Jesse King to make it 10-7 for Calgary. But the last goal came literally with 3 seconds to go into the third quarter, went to Linther again. So Calgary had a 10-8 lead going into the fourth quarter. Feeling like this is going to be another tight game for Calgary going into the fourth quarter and in hostile territory. So going into the fourth quarter, well, Saskatchewan made it 10-9, a 1-goal game, as their Courier scored at 3:33 to make it 10-9 for Saskatchewan, or 10 Calgary, I should say, with Courier. I think it's actually a brother of Zach Courier. I think it's Josh Courier, his name is. Yeah, they're both related, so too many Couriers in relation here. And then actually a former Calgary Roughneck, who always seems to have a big game for Saskatchewan, well, Jeff Shatler, tied up the game at 10-10 at 6:20, so we had a 10-10 game. In the fourth quarter, for most of the fourth quarter, I'm going to say that Tristan Del Bianco, he definitely was the difference for Calgary in this one, holding Calgary in this one. And then at 13:05 of the fourth quarter, Zach Haywires, he definitely scored the big goal for Calgary to make it 11-10. And after that, Calgary was able to hang on, and ultimately it was the Calgary Roughnecks. I would say we did steal this one in Saskatchewan with an 10 victory, because the shots on goal in this game, it was 59-36 for the Calgary Roughnecks. So you might figure out who eventually got the first star of this game. So if you look at the game leaders in this one, well, Hayden Dickson, actually the other Dickson, no relation to Curtis, he had 3 goals for Calgary, but the former Roughneck, Jeff Shatler, had 3 goals. The assists, well, Jesse King had 6 assists for Calgary, while Mark Matthews, who had 4 assists for Saskatchewan. Loose balls, it was Zach Courier, who had 12 for Calgary, while it was Ryan Dickus, who had 9 for Saskatchewan. And then the cost turnovers, Reese Kelly's had the 1 for Calgary, while Ryan Dilks for Saskatchewan had the 5. And now, when it comes to the goaltending story of this game, Christian Del Bianco, he made 49 saves for Calgary, while it was Adam Shute, who made 25 for Saskatchewan. And then the 3 stars in this one, well, Christian Del Bianco was the first star of this one, being a wall with the 49 saves. And then Jeff Shatler was the second star for Saskatchewan, while Jesse King was the third star for the Calgary Roughnecks. So Calgary ultimately split the first 2 games on the road by going 1-1. But I'd say, just like with Calgary Stampeders, it's always great to beat Saskatchewan. So now the third game, which ultimately was the last game the Calgary Roughnecks actually played in December, was the home opener. Yes, I was at that one. I was on Friday, December 17th, as the Calgary Roughnecks were taking on the San Diego Seals. That was a 7 p.m. ball drop at the Scotiabank Saddledome, and there definitely was a reunion for this game, as Dane Dobbie, yes, the same Dane Dobbie who is the franchise all-time leading scorer for the Roughnecks, he made his debut in Calgary playing for the San Diego Seals, as well as Wesley Berg and Frankie Sciliano. So there were definitely a few former Roughnecks on this one. How I'm going to say this game will be determined was one half definitely told the story, and it didn't go to the Calgary Roughnecks' way. So actually, the Calgary Roughnecks did score the first goal early, as it was Dan Taylor who scored the first goal 44 seconds in to make it 1-0 for Calgary. However, San Diego took over after that, as at 5:37 they tied it up with Stats, who scored to make it 1-1, and then Jackson made it 2-1 for San Diego at 8:20, and then Noble at 9:35 made it 3-1 for San Diego, and of course at 14:39 it was Dane Dobbie who scored for San Diego. Doesn't feel right. So San Diego had a 4-1 lead after the first quarter. I just felt the Calgary Roughnecks felt a little flat after that goal. And then the second quarter, it got a little uglier for the Calgary Roughnecks, as wasn't until the 5:45 minute mark of the second quarter the first goal of the quarter happened. That went to Jackson to make it 5-1 for San Diego, and then Dane Dobbie at 5:58 made it 6-1 for San Diego, and then Wesley Berg, another former Roughneck, scored at 9:18 to make it 7-1. Keep in mind the Calgary Roughnecks, their first goal came at the 44-second mark of the first quarter. Well, that one, the next goal for Calgary did not come until 11:58 of the second quarter. We almost forgot how to do the goal celebration at that point, but it was Dan Taylor who scored for Calgary to make it 7-2 for San Diego. However, in the final 3 minutes, San Diego scored 3 more goals. Stats at 12:17 to make it 8-2. Dane Dobbie at 13:06 to make it 9-2. And it was Jackson again at 14:06. So San Diego had a 10-2 lead at halftime. Definitely giving a big hole for the Calgary Roughnecks. Things weren't looking good for Calgary in their home opener. However, in the third quarter, they might have provided some faint of hope. But I always feel that once you get in the fourth quarter, once you're teetering on 3-4 goal deficit, I feel like that's you're not likely going to win. However, in the third quarter, Zach Haywires scored for Calgary at 1:44 to make it 10-3 for San Diego at that point. However, San Diego scored 2 goals midway in the third quarter at 6:25. Dane Dobbie, of course, to make it 11-3, and then Jackson to make it 12-3 at 7:31. And then Curtis Dickson scored at 10:28 of the third quarter to make it 12-4. And then Wesley Berg at 10:48 to make it 13-4. However, Calgary did score the last 3 goals of the third quarter. Tyler Pace, 11:19 to make it 13-5. And then Curtis Dickson scored 2 power play goals, as San Diego actually was down 2 men at one point. As Calgary got 2 power play goals, Curtis Dickson at 12:04 and 13:53. So now it was 13-7 for San Diego going in the fourth quarter. And it was looking like maybe Calgary was able to claw their way at least back into this game, because going into the fourth quarter, another couple more power play goals for Calgary. As this game definitely got chippy, but Calgary had a lot more power play time in the second quarter, or second half, I should say, as Shane Simpson scored the first goal for Calgary in the fourth quarter at 2:18 to make it 13-8. And then Curtis Dickson at 4:36 made it 13-9. So it looked like maybe we had some faint hope. However, Dane Dobbie scored at 5:12 to make it 14-9. But then Calgary scored 2 quick goals in a matter of 37 seconds at 6:11. Curtis Dickson to make it 14-10. And then Tyler Pace at 6:48 made it 14-11. So we were teetering at that 3-4 goal deficit in the fourth quarter. However, Wesley Berg scored at 7:21 to make it 15-11 for San Diego. And then at 9:52 on another power play, it was Calgary who scored by Tyler Pace to make it 15-12. However, after that, there was a couple more goals by Dane Dobbie. One was actually on a penalty shot. This was at the... Actually, yeah, he scored the penalty shot, if I remember, late in the game at 14:37, because he had one at 12:17. So if you do the math, ultimately the San Diego Seals, they won this game 17-12. However, I felt the Calgary Roughnecks had a better first half. I think Calgary might have been able to pull this one after they put that same effort in the third quarter, but it was becoming too little too late. So when it comes to the game leaders, well, Dane Dobbie definitely made his presence known that he is back playing for not for Calgary, as he scored 7 goals for San Diego. Where Curtis Dickson, he scored 5 goals. So there was definitely a couple of battles that those two had throughout that game. The assist leader was Jeremy Noble. He had 5 for San Diego, and Jess King had 6 for Calgary. Loose balls was Cameron Holding for San Diego with 11, while Zach Currier had 16 for Calgary. Caused turnovers was Ellie Goldbrick, who had 2 for San Diego, while Zach Currier had 3 for Calgary. And then when it comes to the goaltending story, well, shots, actually San Diego did outshoot Calgary 51-47, so it was close than that. But the goaltending story was Frankie Sciliano for San Diego, who made 35 saves, while Chris Del Bianco made 34 for Calgary. So when it came to the 3 stars, well, Dane Dobbie definitely was the first star for San Diego, while Curtis Dickson was second and Wesley Berg was third. So that was Game 3 for the Calgary Roughnecks. Game 4, it was scheduled for Thursday, December 30th, as the Calgary Roughnecks would have been home against the Halifax Thunderbirds. It would have been the East Coast Kitchen Party. However, and it would have been at 7:30 at the Scotiabank Saddledome. However, that was postponed, and all week 5 in the NLL actually was postponed due to COVID and travel complications. So the Calgary Roughnecks only got to play 3 games, and after 3 games they are 1-2. So if we take a look at the standings, shall we, it's divided in 2 divisions, East and West. So right now in the East Division, the Buffalo Bandits lead the way at 2-0. Halifax Thunderbirds are 2-0 for top 2. Then third is Philadelphia Wings at 2-1. Fourth is Rochester Nighthawks at 2-1. Fifth, the Toronto Rockets 2-1. And then sixth, Georgia Swarm is 1-1. Then the Albany Firewolves are 0-2 for seventh, and New York Riptides is 0-3. So that is the East Division. The West Division, well, the Colorado Mammoth are 2-1 for first. Second is the San Diego Seals at 2-1. Third is the Vancouver Warriors. Calgary Roughnecks are 4th at 1-2. Saskatchewan Rush 5th 1-2. And the new team, based out of Fort Worth, the Panther State Lacrosse, is 0-3. So that is the quick standings. Now the stats for when it comes to the Calgary Roughnecks, the leading scorer right now for Calgary is Jesse King. He has 3 goals and 16 assists for 19 points. Curtis Dickson, he has 9 goals and 5 assists, 14 points. And then Tyler Pace is third at 5 goals, 4 assists for 9 points. And then Dan Taylor has 2 goals, 7 assists for 9 points. And Aiden Dickson, around the top 5, has 4 goals, 2 assists for 6 points. So that's the quick stats and standing story for the Calgary Roughnecks and the NLL. I think the next episode we'll take a look at league leaders a lot more closely. So looking ahead, I almost think in this climate, we're going to have to say it loosely. The Calgary Roughnecks have 3 games scheduled for January for the next episode. So Game 5 will be on Saturday, January 8th, as the Calgary Roughnecks will be on the road to take on the Rochester Nighthawks. This will be at the Blue Cross Arena, 5 p.m. ball drop. Then the next home game, which is scheduled for Game 6 on Saturday, January the 22nd, as the Calgary Roughnecks will host the Vancouver Warriors. That'll be a 7 p.m. ball drop at the Scotiabank Saddledome. And then Game 7 to wrap up January will be on Saturday, January 29th, as the Calgary Roughnecks will be on the road to take on the San Diego Seals at the Pechanga Arena. So it's still too early to really gauge on who's the contenders and pretenders right now in the National Lacrosse League. I would definitely say the Calgary Roughnecks at this stage, if it wasn't for one bad quarter in the first game and one bad half in the third game, it's still hard to say if we're going to defend our title after having defending champs for 3 seasons, which feels like 34 years, but it is what it is. But we'll see how January goes, and hopefully these games actually get played. And it definitely is crazy right now, and it's going to make my game recaps a mess, especially on the rink as well. But there's no word yet on when that rescheduled game is going to happen between Calgary and Halifax. That was scheduled for December 30th. So anyway, as I like to say, if you want to follow along this Calgary sports fan's journey, home the Flames, Hip, and Roughnecks, and Stampeders, I mostly do talk Calgary sports on my YouTube channel where I recap games and stories and that. But I also do a variety of non-sports content like personal blogs, attempt to comedy. I also do share my experience on the road, our sport event, and I've done some blogging to go. So if that all sounds like it'd be interesting to watch, to follow along with this Calgary sports fan's journey, you know what you do, just make sure you hit like, subscribe. I also have my other social links down in the description below, and I also have my Brett Hornby Shorts, where I post my short form content exclusively on that channel. So of course I appreciate the like, subscribe, both here on my main channel as well as my second channel. So all I can say at this point is go Nest Go. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video or the next episode, which will come either the next day on the end of January or a few days after, once again, in February when I have a chance to make it. So thank you.